time to rethink Uruguay. Uruguay, the good days all over. Well, today we are going to discuss just about that. Welcome to Continental Insider, the offshore consulting service for expats, digital nomads, entrepreneurs, investors, and related internationals with a boots on the ground approach. For more information, please check out continentalinsider.com. Well, recently we have some news in Uruguay that has been a political regime change. And since January, we are going to have a new president, Yarmandu Orsi. He is a left-leaning president that he just defeated the center-right-wing coalition that has been the ruling party, the ruling coalition, on the past 5 years. So many people are, speculating, also fearing for the worst. So many people are fear-mongering about the worst scenarios regarding the Uruguay economy. Now, this comes because usually, and this is the sentiment, usually in Latin America, when a left-leaning president wins an election, usually the economy tanks, and the reverse when a right-wing politician does the same. Well, you have to take that particular rule of thumb with a grain of salt. It's not necessarily the case, but usually that's kind of plays out in most countries in Latin America. Now, many people are worried. However, my particular take regarding Uruguay is that I don't think that's going to be that bad. I hope I'm not mistaken. But the most important thing, let's first review what's going on in Uruguay on the past 20 years. So on the past administration of Luis Lacalle Pou, he is a center right wing, he's flat out center politician. He leads a center right coalition of political parties. And this particular coalition has been in the performance of this particular government hasn't been bad actually, but hasn't been quite good as well. It has been a little bit lackluster, a little bit disappointing for some people, but actually it was just more of the same. It was the status quo of Uruguay. Uruguay is actually one of the most stable economies and societies overall in Latin America. Sometimes it's called the Switzerland of Latin America. That I don't think is that just like that, but it has a very good political stability and economic stability. So that's good for business. But actually, before this particular center right-wing coalition took over the country, for 15 years, we had actually a couple of left-leaning presidents in Uruguay. One of is a legend in Latin American politics. His name is José Pepe Mujica. That he's a very left-leaning politician. He's like the Uruguay's version of Bernie Sanders. And actually, you can argue he's more left-leaning than Bernie Sanders. And we had another left-leaning president. His name is Tabaré Vázquez. During this particular 15-year span with left-leaning presidents in Uruguay, the performance of Uruguay's economy was actually quite good and was very stable, and both left and right get along pretty well. It's not like in other parts in Latin America where you see all of these political feuds in Congress and also in the legacy media. In those countries, actually, they get along pretty fine. The economic performance in Uruguay hasn't been bad. It hasn't been, spectacular well, like China the past 20 years, double-digit growth, something like that. No. but has been stable, has been quite safe, not entirely safe, but I mean, things have been doing okay in Uruguay on the past decade and a half. So for that part, I don't expect anything crazy going on, like, a Marxist guerrilla dictatorship, something like that in Uruguay. I don't expect that. But the worst case scenario, and I hope this is the worst case scenario, and I hope it doesn't happen, but more, more taxes. Yeah, that may happen. A little bit more regulations, more social things, like walkish policies, something like that. I expect that. But afterwards, I don't expect, mayhem. I don't expect pandemonium, catastrophe, anything like that. But yeah, we can see an underperformance of Uruguay's economy on years to come. That actually might happen. Now, with the losing candidate, the center right wing candidate, Alvaro Delgado, I wasn't expecting, nothing. I wasn't super bullish on Uruguay with the losing candidate, but I expected, a little bit less craziness, just a little bit less craziness on the politics, because at the end of the day, these both politicians that were running for president, basically they wanted to keep the status quo. Uruguay doesn't have that big of a tax burden, but still is quite something. Still manageable, but I mean, it's not tax free, anything like that. I wasn't that super bullish if the center right wing coalition just remained in charge. So, I mean, nothing draconian to expect right now. Now, if you're international, how this political result affects your interest in the country? First, for travelers, for digital nomads, for residents, and so on. It should not affect that much. And actually, on a bad scenario, if the local currency starts underperforming on the currency rate, the currency exchange rate against the USD, if that happens, well, Uruguay is going to become cheaper. If that happens, not necessarily has to happen, but it's a possibility. So the only caution that you should have towards Uruguay is not being fully invested in the country. Just to put it like that. But afterwards, I mean, if you don't have your entire network invested in Uruguay, you should be fine. You're still a relatively safe place to visit, to any given business, and so on. So right now, it's no time to panic. It's just time to be a little bit more cautious on the near future. Now, if you're watching this and you are a born and raised Uruguay citizen, well, sit down because I have a couple of pieces of advice for yourself. Well, what I will do if I'm a citizen of Uruguay, I will start building a nest egg on hard currency, let's say USD or Euro or Bitcoin. I will keep it between USD and Bitcoin. By the way, this is not financial advice. This is just what I will do. So I will start build, some savings in hard currency, in hard assets, in order just, to be safe, like a hedge, something like that, in order to just sleep at night in case you have to make a move. And afterwards, what I will do is start getting my documents Apple style. I'm talking my birth certificate, my college degrees certificates, and the kids' paperwork if you have kids, if you have children, and so on and so on and so on. And if I have several properties in Uruguay, let's say I have more than two, I will start thinking about selling one of those. not the main one, of course. Please don't, I'm not saying go and sell. If you only have one home, don't go and sell your home. Please don't do so. But let's say I have like a pied a terre on Punta del Este, maybe, and I don't use it that much, and it's not giving me consistent cash flow. Maybe start thinking about putting on the market. And if you get a premium on such property, maybe take it and put it on a list, an asset, maybe, I mean, something to consider, just to consider. And of course, since Uruguay is part of the Mercosur, if you're able to start getting second residences in Mercosur countries like Paraguay or Brazil, maybe Argentina, something like that. I mean, of course, that is you have the time and the disposition in order to get through the paperwork and basically the requirements in order to become an eligible resident and citizen on such countries. So the main conclusion regarding Uruguay is that I'm not particularly bullish on the future of the country. But I mean, it's no time, to be a doom and gloomer. It's not time to panic. It's just time to be cautious. And Uruguay, of course, a beautiful country. If you haven't visited Uruguay and you have the opportunity, please do so. If you do have visited Uruguay, you know, it's awesome. Montevideo, Punta del Este. And well, Uruguay is not as big, so it's not like it has that much to visit. But I mean, it's a cute place. It's a nice place. Also, the people from Uruguay are very, very cool. They will be like the Canadians of the Argentinians, something like that. Is a running joke that my friends and we have. So at the end of the day, Uruguay, nice, cool place, is not necessarily cheap to visit, but gives you a decent ROI. And if you're a traveler, digital nomad, something like that, knock yourself out, nothing bad should happen. And if you are an investor or a speculator, well, it's time to play it more cautious game on Uruguay. And lastly, if you're a local citizen of Uruguay, well, just be cautious. Start building a plan B if you don't have such. But still, just keep it day by day and start, planning for the future. Thank you for watching Continental Insider. Please like, share, and subscribe. Follow us on social media. And if you want to work with us, continentalinsider.com. Thanks again, and have a nice day.